Every bite we take does more than just fill us up. Food can improve our mood, our energy, and our long-term health, and it can even impact the health of our families and communities. The choices we make at the table really do matter. So when we come back, we'll hear from someone who's leading a national movement to make healthier eating easier for everyone, right here on Decoding Seafood by Moe. Stick around.
Seafood isn't just a dish, it's a global story. The Decoding Seafood by Moe podcast series explores the science, sustainability, and surprising truths behind the seafood you love, straight from the voices of those shaping the industry. From chefs, scientists, influencers, and insiders who live and breathe seafood and uncover what most of us never see. Hosted by Chef George Duran, you can find Decoding Seafood here on your favorite platform and at Moe Salmon TV on YouTube.
Welcome back to Decoding Seafood by Moe. I'm your host, George Duran. Today I'm joined by Linda Cornish, founder of the Seafood Nutrition Partnership. She's on a mission to help people across the country eat healthier by putting more seafood on the table. And she's here to share why small changes can make a big impact. Linda, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, George.
You founded the Seafood Nutrition Partnership, and this is to help Americans to eat more seafood, get more omega-3s. Tell me what it is exactly, how it came about, and how is it working?
Yeah, I founded Seafood Nutrition Partnership in 2013, so almost 13 years ago, to help Americans be healthier, for being happier, healthier, smarter. 90% of Americans do not follow the dietary guidelines to eat seafood at least twice a week. So we're trying to help Americans add one more meal of seafood at a time. And it's actually going really well.
So wait, how do you convince Americans who already aren't crazy about seafood? And I know that because I have kids.
Yeah.
How do you convince them to eat even more seafood?
Yeah.
What is it that you're using? What tactics are you using?
So there's a couple different ways. We need to meet the consumers where they are. And so actually a lot of people like seafood. They just don't know how to include it into their family meals. They're not sure how to buy it in the store. You know, it can be pricier, so you don't want to, waste money and buy something that the family won't eat. So there's a lack of confidence in how to buy it, how to cook it, and then, picking the type that your family will like. So there's a lot of questions out there, but Americans do like seafood. So most Americans eat it at restaurants. And so it's trying to help them figure out how to try it at home. So we have different tips on how to do that. And it's my best tip is start with what you like. So if you like burgers, try a salmon burger. If you like tacos, try fish taco. And, when you have a taco, you can add all the toppings that you like. So start with what you like and then add seafood to it is my best tip.
Yeah, and one of the elements that you like to incorporate in your diet are omega-3s. That's on like the fattier fish.
Yeah.
What is it about omega-3s and fish that tastes so good? I mean, people love it.
Wow. Omega-3s and the kind that we need are EPA and DHA. So our brain is made up of fats, and they're mostly omega-3, EPA, DHA. DHA helps with being smarter, higher IQ. EPA helps you with mood. It makes you feel better. And that's something that we all need more of today, is to actually feel better. And so the omega-3s, there's been over 40,000 studies since the 1970s on how good seafood and omega-3s are for our bodies. And so when moms eat seafood, their babies have higher IQ by almost 7.7 IQ points.
Wow.
When people eat seafood, they can reduce their risk of anxiety and depression by 20%. And it's more effective than medication. And we know about the heart health benefits when people eat seafood at least twice a week. Reduces your risk of heart disease by 30 to 50%. And I think something that we really are excited about, and there's research here that, you'll be speaking with other scientists, when moms have enough omega-3s, DHA in their diets when they're pregnant, they can reduce preterm birth by almost 2/3. And in the U.S., we rank a D plus from the March of Dimes. 1 in 10 births in the U.S. is preterm. That means the baby's starting from a poor status. They don't have the best foundation, and really they're behind the 8 ball. And so omega-3s just are something that we need in our bodies to live better. And the best way is actually from seafood. The EPA DHA is only from seafood.
Yeah, but are you seeing that there's a problem here with Americans getting access to quality seafood as well? Because at the end of the day, I was just in Europe,
Yeah.
a year ago. I've been in Spain, and when you go to even to a supermarket,
Yeah.
the fish looks glorious.
Right.
And then you come here to the United States, and it's kind of like the second aisle. It's over there in the corner, and
Yeah.
and honestly, a lot of Americans aren't educated in knowing what is quality salmon,
Right.
quality fish, how to purchase it. Do we have an education problem in this country when it comes to seafood?
I think we have a culture that's not used to eating seafood. We do have access to quality seafood. And so when you go to a reputable grocery store, they all have good sourcing policies, sustainability policies. And so when you go to a good grocery store, in your neighborhood, they have good sourcing. It's a matter of trying to build it into our habits, finding the type of seafood that we like, and asking your grocer to supply it. They only want to sell what you want to buy. So if you're not asking for seafood, they probably won't bring it in. And so it's kind of what comes first? Do you ask for what you want?
Or do you wait for them
do
to
you
bring
wait?
it? Right.
And so I think it's a partnership
Yeah.
with who you're buying your food from.
Yeah, and it's very cultural because the French, for example, every Friday they have their fish. That's like the big
Yeah.
thing. Even at schools, every Friday they have their fish.
Yeah.
Are you trying to do like a
Fish Friday.
Fish Friday or Monday's seafood or something like that?
We try different types of themes, Taco Tuesdays, Fish Fridays, if it's a Wellness Wednesday, try something new,
Yeah.
And so, but I think it goes by the age. With kids like to dip things, they like to play
right.
with their food. And so if you let them maybe put together, a pizza together, the favorite topping, you
Yeah.
can add some shrimp or, tuna, try fish sticks, make it from any fish you like, salmon, whitefish, and make it dippable, find a nice sauce. So kids like something dippable. Americans love sauces, so find a sauce that you
Right.
like.
Or deep fried and battered. Sure, we can do that too. I mean,
That's the first time you can try it.
well, yeah, if you want to get
Yeah.
an American to eat seafood or something
Yeah.
that's
A
good for them.
fish stick.
Yeah, a good fish stick.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, and
Now-
then I love a good air fryer. Do you have an air fryer at home?
I live by my air
You
fryer,
do?
and my salmon. When I cook the salmon,
Yes.
the air fryer is all of it because it really just kind of encapsulates
Yeah.
the crusts, the actual salmon itself, makes it juicy on the
Yeah.
inside, and everything gets ultra crispy. And if you don't know an air fryer, it's essentially a very small convection oven,
Right.
and that's what it is. And you're just kind of twirling all that hot
It
air
is
in there.
perfect for salmon. I mean,
Really is.
if you just add a dry rub or some seasoning, and my tip is 400 degrees in the air fryer, 12 to 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Mwah,
A little
it's
too
perfect.
much for me at 12,
It's-
14.
Oh, really?
I like
I
it
like
7
it.
to
I
12.
li- I
7
like
to
it,
12.
Chris. Oh, wow.
I
I'll
like-
try
I-
that.
Well, the inside, I like it. That's the other thing is
Yeah.
the way you cook salmon
Yeah.
sometimes for me. If you overcook it, all that good fat kind
Yeah.
of just dissolves
Yeah.
out. It kind of gets melted out.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're left with a puddle of the
Fat.
fat, but you're not going to drink that fat. You want that fat to remain in the
Yeah.
salmon. So you want it to be almost like, how pasta's al dente,
Yeah.
like not overly cooked, just not undercooked.
Right.
Medium rare. I don't know how you would explain it in terms of salmon, because obviously
Yeah.
you want the pathogens out or any issues.
Right.
You want it to be cooked just right. And with salmon, man, when it's cooked just right,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, my wife never ate salmon until she met me. And the moment I started either broiling the salmon, because broiling is fantastic
Yeah.
for salmon, that intense heat on top of it, you don't need any fat on top because the salmon already carries
Right.
that. And the moment you do that, it changes the way when it melts in your mouth.
We'll be back after this break.
Moe salmon comes ready to cook, ready to grill, ready to season, or pre-seasoned and ready to eat. And an assortment of flavors for an assortment of people. Moe salmon.
So the one thing I would ask you is, for a child who wants to start eating something like salmon or any other kind of fish, how do you get them pushing into it? Besides turning it into a taco, it's still going to have fish in there.
One of the favorite recipes I've seen is one of our dietitian friends made, salmon nuggets. And it's even cutting up a salmon into nugget size, about 1 inch by 1 inch, coating it with, your favorite seasoning, maybe a little bit of maple syrup or, mustard if you like it.
Sure.
But flavors that your kids like.
Yep.
And then roll it around, air frying it.
Yes.
So it's in
In nugget
little nugget.
form.
Yeah,
cute.
they love it.
Oh, you're gonna have to find like fish-formed
Yeah.
cutters so you can actually
You
make
could
that
try
happen.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids.
Stars, dinosaurs.
You could make a lot of things with
Yeah.
that. So my kids, believe it or not, started salmon with raw salmon, with sashimi and sushi,
Wow.
because it just
That's
didn't have
amazing.
that fishiness to it, I
Yeah.
guess, and it felt more marbled, and it just melted them. And they love it today. Like that's the only sushi they'll pretty much
Oh,
buy.
wow.
But then from there, it kind of just evolved into like cooked salmon now. And
Yeah.
it's just like just the right amount of cooking, and they just like gobble it up. They absolutely love it.
We've done a lot of education in the community, and one thing I've seen is that kids actually reach for what they need. And so we taught some moms, how to eat mussels, and they said, "Oh, my kids will never eat mussels." Well, when they take some home, cook it for them, and they grabbed it, played with it,
Yeah.
and so kids will actually seek out what they need. It's adults when they start saying, "Oh, I don't know if you'll like seafood." You should give it a try and see what they like.
Maybe the problem is that too many American adults are too childish.
Yeah.
They have a childish palate.
Right.
And I've met a lot of adults who are just like, I don't eat seafood. I'm like, are you allergic? No. Well,
Yeah.
then you do eat seafood
Right.
because you haven't had a good seafood before.
Right.
And it's kind of maybe pushing the adults. I think once you push the parents into it,
Yeah.
the kids will follow through,
Yeah.
right?
I think so. And with seafood, there's hundreds of varieties to buy, in the store or at restaurant. There's something for everybody. So when someone says, I don't like seafood, I'll say, well, do you like sushi? Oh, yeah, I like sushi. Well, do you like tuna salad? Yes, I do. And well, okay, so seafood is a big category. And so you might have to go a bit more specific. Like, do you like shrimp cocktail? Yes. Air fryer salmon? Yes. And it's like,
Fish and
okay,
chips? Yes.
So I think it's finding something that they like and then expanding their palate to more varieties.
And maybe seafood has been labeled too healthy, and people are just like, healthy, it's not going to taste good, and that's it. And people are just kind of like, I'm away from this. The Mediterranean diet has a lot of rich omega-3 fat seafoods, and we see that the Mediterranean diet is one of the best diets on earth.
It's ranked number one every year by USA Today as the best diet, and it's full of fish, olive oil, nuts, whole grain. It's the best. And so I think people know that it's healthy and delicious. It's that initial factor of how do I bring it into my own meal, my own family, and I don't want to mess up. And so, this is where chefs come in, to teach us good tips on how to add it just easier. What's your favorite tip?
Yeah, well, I like to first of all tell you how to buy the salmon first and how to look at it, because a lot of people go into the local supermarket that I go to and I overlisten. I like to overlisten to people. I'll look at people's carts constantly, see what are you buying, how are you buying, and not even the fishmonger, whoever's behind that counter, knows how to explain to them what they want. And right away they say, I want wild, and that's it. And I'm just like, you don't understand. Like the farm raised is just as good, if not better. So there's an undereducation problem when it comes to seafood, and Americans just walk in and they don't even look at the fish. When I grew up in South America, we used to see the eyes and the gills of the fish. The head is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where that head is going. It should go in a soup, but it's gone from our supermarkets. And that's fine. That's a challenge that we have to face with. That's what we have to deal with in this country. But then what do you look at? What do you look at with the colors? What do you look at with the marbling? So it starts from the very beginning of trying to figure out what is the right fish, who is packaging it properly, because at the end of the day, we're trying to feed a massive nation of over 300 million people in this vast country that is, a lot of the states are obviously landlocked.
Right.
How do you get the fresh fish straight to them, right to their doorstep, and still have it fresh, perhaps not frozen, perhaps just tasting good as it is? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is trying to educate people, like, how do you get that fresh? And after that, it's easier to undercook fish and then to fix it than to overcook it and try to fix it. That's kind of my thing. And if the kids don't like it, I lean towards the sweeter side. So like blackening rubs, brown sugar rubs, maple rubs. You say maple, heck, ketchup. If you need ketchup on your freaking fish just to eat it, do that for the kids, because that'll get their palates rolling with the fishier flavors, and then they'll get used to it. And the next thing you know, they're serving the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, they're become a aficionado.
Yeah. And what does a partnership concentrate in terms of sustainability? Because we got to talk about the earth too. There's only so much fish. Obviously, we're doing a lot of aquaculture farming, but how does sustainability take effect here?
So, Seafood Nutrition Partnership, we're working at the intersection of environmental health and public health. And so if you choose fish, number one, you're actually choosing a more sustainable, environmentally climate-friendly protein than any of the other proteins out there. And so number one, we're pretty much at max capacity for land-based agriculture. We're using all of our freshwater resources. We're only using 3% of the oceans to grow our food, and 70% of the ocean, 70% of Earth is ocean.
Right.
And so we need to look to seafood for our future food security. So number one is choose fish. And then for sustainability, look for if you're in the U.S., NOAA Fisheries has great fisheries management. And then certifications.
Right.
If there's wild, there's MSC certification, there's farm, there's ASC, BAP. So look for those. But the best thing, if you don't know all the acronyms, talk to your supermarket.
Right.
80 to 90% of the supermarkets now have a sustainable seafood policy. And so you can feel good about buying seafood in the U.S.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to do a Google search and try to find out, hey, what are the certifications? Who do you trust in this country? And try to figure out what's right for you and your family. Speaking of family, I'm coming over tonight to dinner at your family's home.
Right.
What are you cooking for me tonight?
Oh gosh, definitely got to bring the air fryer out. It's very easy. We'll I live in Memphis, and so we have the barbecue rubs. And so, might add a little barbecue rub on the salmon, and then serve it with a side of asparagus, maybe some wild rice. And so I love it. Healthy and delicious.
Absolutely. And they can coexist, but they can also be amazing at flavorful, being healthy and delicious. Linda Cornish, thank you so much from the Seafood Nutrition Partnership. A pleasure being here with Decoding Seafood by Moe. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you check out Moe's YouTube TV. That's right. We have a channel on YouTube. It's called Moe Salmon TV. Just do a search for Moe Salmon TV, and you'll find a ton of recipes that we just discussed, and a lot of them that I've created as well, right there on YouTube, Moe Salmon TV. Thanks for following the podcast here at Decoding Seafood by Moe. Please subscribe wherever you subscribe to podcasts. My name is George Duran. Till next time.